Or hello, we're back again for 21 after a 2 week break or so. I've got together another 40 questions. So here we go. We're going to start off with round one, and it's the ancient city of Troy was in which modern day country? Okay, the ancient city of Troy was in which modern day country? And number two, what country does the island of Bermuda belong to? Which country does the island of Bermuda belong to? Number three, which Irish city could you find in a wine bottle? Which Irish city could you find in a wine bottle? And number four, after Australia as the biggest island, what's the second biggest island? Okay, if Australia is the first biggest island, what's the second biggest? And number five, what was the capital of Hong Kong during the British colonial period? What was the capital of Hong Kong during the British colonial period? Change this name twice, so if you have any of the two, you can get a point. And number six, whose 1960s report closed many railway lines in Britain? Whose 1960s report closed many railway lines in Britain? And number seven, which country does a sampan belong to? Where'd you get? What country does a sampan come from? SAMPAN. And your last question, number eight, what's the capital of Albania? Okay, write them down. If you want to pause it and go over some of them, I'm going to give you the answers here in a few seconds. Number one, the ancient city of Troy, as in which modern day country? It was in Turkey. And what country does the island of Bermuda belong to? It belongs to Britain. And which Irish city could you find in a wine bottle? Cork. After Australia, what's the next largest island? It's Greenland. And what was the capital of Hong Kong during the British colonial period? It used to be called Queenstown, and it became Victoria. So if you have Queenstown or Victoria, give yourself a point. And whose 1960s report closed many railway lines in Britain? It was Dr. Beeching, the Beeching report. And what country does a sampan come from? It's China. And number eight, what's the capital of Albania? It's Tirana. Okay, we're going to go to round two. Before I do that, big shout out to Davey and Jean, who's done well the last couple of quizzes, and Caroline, Josie and Bill, Lily, Stevie and Rita, and Billy and Margaret, and there's a few other ones there that does it. Does Betty do it too? So that's the people that know. Well, there's more. Not going by the numbers on the YouTube. There's more, but I don't know who they are. So number one, what's the highest number used in a Sudoku puzzle? What's the highest number used in a Sudoku puzzle? And number two, according to a nursery rhyme, who lost their pocket? Number three, Dennis Bergkamp had a phobia about which type of transport? It was always on the news when he was playing for Arsenal. Now, Dennis Bergkamp had a phobia about which type of transport? And number four, who was the first woman to receive the Order of Merit in 1907? Who was the first woman to receive the Order of Merit in 1907? And number five, which group had a #1 hit with Belfast Child? Which group had a #1 hit with Belfast Child? Number six, which actress was known as Hanoi Jane because of her anti-Vietnam activities in the 70s? So which actress was known as Hanoi Jane because of her anti-Vietnam activities in the 70s? And number 7. What number does L represent in Roman numerals? Okay, what number does L represent in Roman numerals? And number 8. What is the name of She Who Must Be Obeyed in a TV series? What is the name of She Who Must Be Obeyed in a TV series? Okay, pause it. I'm going to go over a couple of them. I'm going to give the answers here in a couple of seconds. Number 1. What's the highest number used in a Sudoku puzzle? Number 9. According to a nursery rhyme, who lost their pocket? Lucy Lockett. And Dennis Perkamp had a phobia about which type of transport? Flying. He didn't like flying. Him and Mr. T. Who was the first woman to rescue or receive the Order of Merit in 1907? Florence Nightingale. And which group had a number 1 hit with Belfast Child? Simple Minds. And which actress was known as Hanoi Jane because of her anti-Vietnam activities in the 70s? It was Jane Fonda. And what number does L represent in Roman numerals? 50. And what is the name of She Who Must Be Obeyed in a TV series? Hilda Rumpole. So if you put Mrs. Rumpole, you can get a point. Okay, we're going to go on to round 3. What's Tyrone's surname? The mechanic from Coronation Street. Okay, so what's Tyrone's surname? The mechanic from Coronation Street. And Alfred Hitchcock's daughter appeared in some of his films. She was in Psycho, Strangers on a Train. She was in Stage Fright. But what was her name? Alfred Hitchcock's daughter appeared in some of his films. Psycho, Strangers on a Train, Stage Fright, and maybe another one or two. What was her name? And number 3. In the Morecambe Bay tragedy in 2004, what were the immigrants picking? Okay. In the Morecambe Bay tragedy in 2004, what was the immigrants picking? And number 4. What was ITV's first live pop programme? What was ITV's first live pop programme called? And number 5. According to the proverb, what makes Jack a dull boy? Okay, according to the proverb, what makes Jack a dull boy? And number 6. The premium bond machine Ernie. What does the second E stand for? Okay, Ernie, E-R-N-I-E. What does the second E stand for? And number 7. Who was the first female to get the job of Director General of MI5? Who was the first female to get the job of Director General of MI5? You've heard her name, she was in the news years ago. And number 8. Where in Uganda was a hijacked Air France plane stormed in 1976? It's in the news a lot, there's a film about it. Where in Uganda was a hijacked Air France plane stormed in 1976? So I'm looking for around about the 28 score today. 28 score, you'll be doing well this week. 28. Here's the answers, so we're going to pause it. What's Tyrone's surname? The mechanic from Coronation Street. Tyrone Dobbs. And Alfred Hitchcock's daughter appeared in some of his films. Psycho, Strangers on a Train, Stage Fright. What was her name? Patricia or Pat? Okay. Patricia Hitchcock or Pat. She's better known as Pat. In the Morecambe Bay tragedy in 2004, what were the immigrants picking? They were picking cockles. And what was ITV's first live pop programme called? Ready, Steady, Go. According to the proverb, what makes Jack a dull boy? All work and no play. In the premium bond machine Ernie, what does the second E stand for? Equipment. It's electronic random number indicating equipment. So the second E would be equipment. And Number 7, who was the first female to get the job of Director General of MI5? It was Stella Remington. Probably know her name now once you hear it. Stella Remington. And where in Uganda was there a hijacked Air France plane stormed in 1976? Entebbe. Entebbe Airport. The film was called Raid on Entebbe, Entebbe. So if you've got Entebbe, that'll do the job for a point. Okay, we're going to the last 2 rounds here. Okay, name the song that mentions ice cream castles in the air. Okay, name the song that mentions ice cream castles in the air. And number 2, who was the lead singer of Amen Corner? Who was the lead singer of Amen Corner? And number 3, what was Blondie's first number 1? What was Blondie's first number 1? And number 4, which 60s group featured Demis Roussos on Vangelis? Which 60s group featured Demis Roussos on Vangelis? And number 5, whose debut single in 1980 was To Cut a Long Story Short? So whose debut single in 1980 was To Cut a Long Story Short? Number 6, here's some lyrics from a song. I want you to tell me the name of the song. Of the group. Give me the name of the song. The Sweeneys doing 90 because they've got the word to go. So where's that song? What's that line from? The Sweeneys doing 90 because they've got the word to go. Number 7. Where was Otis Redding living, according to the lyrics, when he headed to the Frisco Bay? Okay, so according to the lyrics, where was Otis Redding living when he headed for the Frisco Bay? And number 8, who did Diana Ross play in the film Lady Sing the Blues? Who did Diana Ross play in the film Lady Sings the Blues? Okay, there's a couple of wee tough ones there, so I'm expecting you to get at least 5 here, not right. Okay, here's the answers. Name a song that mentions ice cream castles in the air. It's Both Sides Now, wrote by Joni Mitchell, and Judy Collins had a hit with it too. Judy Collins. Both Sides Now. Number 2, who was the lead singer of Amen Corner? Andy Fairweather Low. And what was Blondie's first number 1? Heart of Glass. And which 60s group featured Demis Roussos and Vangelis together? It was Aphrodite's Child. Or Aphrodite's Child. And whose debut single in 1980 was To Cut a Long Story Short? It was Spandau Ballet. Number 6, the Sweeneys doing 90 because I've got nowhere to go, or got the word to go, is a line of lyrics from Cool for Cats by Squeeze. And where was Otis Redding living, according to the lyrics, when he headed to the Frisco Bay? He left his home in Georgia. And who did Diana Ross play in Lady Sings the Blues? Billie Holiday. Okay, all them scores up. We're going to go on to the last round. Hope there's not a big bee. I hear something here. There's a big bee climbing up a window. Right. Maria, Yvette and Mimi were waitresses in which TV sitcom? Maria, Yvette and Mimi were waitresses in which TV sitcom? Number 2, which activity was halted in the UK in 2020 over safety and environmental concerns? Which activity was halted in the UK in 2020 over safety and environmental concerns? Number 3, in which century did London become the capital of England? In which century did London become the capital of England? Okay, having only written 2 books, the first book's the more famous one. So this one was Go Set a Watchman. It was published in 2015. Who was the writer? Go Set a Watchman. Apparently it's from the prequel to the main book, the more famous book, Go Set a Watchman. She just has a more famous book than that, but who was the author? Number 5, in the book The Wizard of Oz, what colour were Dorothy's magical shoes? In the book The Wizard of Oz, what colour was Dorothy's magical shoes? Number 6, what word can go before home and after house? What word can go before home and after house? Okay, number 7, Clark Gable, Marlon Brando and Mel Gibson have all played which sailor on film? Clark Gable, Marlon Brando and Mel Gibson have all played which sailor on film? And number 8, what do you call an alloy of tin and lead? What do you call an alloy of tin and lead? Okay, pause it if you want to go over a couple of them there, and I'm going to give you the answers and count your score up and let me know what your score was. See if you can get around about the 28 mark. Maria, Yvette and Mimi were waitresses in which TV sitcom? Hello, hello. Which activity was halted in the UK in 2020 over safety and environmental concerns? Fracking. In which century did London become the capital of England? It was the 12th century. Having only written 2 books, whose book Go Set a Watchman was published in 2015? Well, our main book, what everybody knows, is To Kill a Mockingbird. So it was Harper Lee that wrote Go Set a Watchman, what was the prequel to Kill a Mockingbird. In the book The Wizard of Oz, what colour were Dorothy's magical shoes? They weren't red, they weren't ruby red, they were silver. They were changed to red to take advantage of the colour film that was coming through in colour, the bright colour, so they changed it on the film to red, ruby red instead of silver. What word can go up after home and before house? That was a tough one. There's only 2 of them. Homework and workhouse. So what's work? The answer was work. Clark Gable, Marlon Brando and Mel Gibson have all played what sailor on film? Fletcher Christian. That's no from Mutiny on the Bounty. Fletcher Christian. And what do you call an alloy of tin and lead? Pewter. Okay, pewter. So add them scores up and see what you got, and hopefully we're back in another week or 2. So that's good. Glad to be back. I hope you've done well. Let me know what the score you got, and see you soon.